How many of you could use help with sharpening your planes or chisels? That's what I'm going to walk you through. I'm going to take you through a sharpening process. Now, how many of you would be excited if I told you that I can show you a method whereby I can take a plane out of the box new and in under a minute have it take a shaving off a piece of hard maple that would measure under 1/1000th of an inch? What I try to do is teach people to do it by hand. Why do we do it? Why do I cut dovetails by hand?
Because you can.
Exactly. We do it because we enjoy the process. And enjoying the process really is just all about developing skills. Sharpening is another skill, so I don't use jig. But we do it by hand, and that's what I try to teach them. When we're using a hand tool, how much control do we strive for? If this is 0 and this is 100%, what are we striving for? 100%. Okay, hand tools don't operate by power, they operate by muscle or effort that we apply. So on this side of the graph represents the effort applied. Now, as I increase the effort I apply, what happens to my control? Could we say they are inversely connected? They operate just like this, don't they? Now the third part of this graph is sharpness. This tool is 100% sharp, this tool is dull. When it's 100% sharp, where's my effort applied? Where's my control? Picture. As that tool dulls, we compensate by increasing our pressure and we sacrifice the control. Okay? You got to keep the tool sharp. But if sharpening a tool involves finding a flat spots don't exist in shops. That's where stuff accumulates. Finding a flat spot, digging out the sharpening apparatus, setting up the jig, and going through a 20-minute process, they won't do it. But if I could teach you how to sharpen your chisel, go from dull to sharp in under 30 seconds, could you see yourself doing that? Yes. And if you can keep the tools up here, you can keep the control up here, the results speak for themselves. Nothing more need be said. Okay? So I'm going to walk you through the sharpening. I'm going to do the first part rather quickly. I'm going to take a Lie-Nielsen new out of the box. I specifically asked one of the store owners if he'd send me one that had never been opened, so you know I didn't do anything to it. I always hated demonstrating with my own tools because I knew 30, 40, 50% of the audience was sitting there thinking, oh yeah, what did he do to that at home? That's not the case. So there's a Lie-Nielsen 4.5. I'm going to take the blade out. Now that lever, that screw is always tighter than it needs to be just because in shipping they don't want it getting thrown against the wall in a post office somewhere and then the blade coming out. And I'm going to break this down. So forgive me for going over this real quickly, but I want to get right to showing you what it'll do, and then I'll come back. A little bit of water. Actually, I will talk a little bit about it. These are a ceramic-based stone. They are made in Japan. They successfully matched the ingredient to cryogenically treated A2 steel. And probably the single biggest advancement in hand tools of late was the cryo treatment of A2 steel. All it means is you've got a product now that will hold an edge 2, maybe as much as 3 to 5 times longer than a normal blade. That's a little bit debatable, but it can be supported with some proof or some evidence. And then I've got 3 grits in front of me. Who sharpens with Waterstones now? What's your final grit?
8,000.
8,000? Want to see my final grit? 30,000. And I will give you reason and evidence as to why it's actually beneficial. And it's not in the surface of the wood. Okay, stones are ready. Come in here with 1,000 grit, nice thick blade. I hold the blade a very specific way. I'll share that with you. Find what we call the primary bevel. Raise up slightly. Now, why am I standing on a block of wood? All of this has to be explained, obviously, before I leave, but I'm not going to bother right now. I'll spend about 10 seconds on this 1,000 grit. Detect a slight burr on the back side. I'm going to go all the way over here to my 30,000. Keep the stone wet because that helps prevent the stone from clogging. Find the primary bevel. Raise up a little bit higher than I did on that 1,000 stone. I'll spend about the same 10 seconds here. Then toward the end of it, I'm going to put downward pressure on one corner, followed by downward pressure on the opposite corner. Now I'm going to come in with a little steel rule. I'm going to lay that on the edge of the blade, flip the blade over, and on its back, I'm going to create a little wee tiny back bevel, working on the opposite 1/4 inch edge of the stone. This is a 16,000 grit. First time I do this, I spend longer than I do normally, because on subsequent sharpenings, this last procedure would take about 3 seconds. And I'll finish on the 30. I don't think we've gone over a minute. In fact, I know we haven't. And that part of it is done. Okay. Now, we'll wipe off these things are covered with a light vegetable-based tool oil. You just kind of got to get that off, or else it'll gunk up with sawdust. I put my lever cap about a 1/16 of an inch back from the edge. No reason to have it any closer. Now, want to make sure the face of the frog doesn't have any debris on it. Want good contact. Always want to make sure the frog is tight, because sometimes these are assembled on a Friday afternoon and the girlfriend's in the parking lot honking the horn. I've been there. That one was loose. Careful when you put that in. I just spent 30 seconds on that blade. Now, first thing I'm going to do, if you get a light colored background, I'm going to sight down the sole. Oh boy, did I hate turning 45. And that was 3 years ago. Yes, it does, doesn't it? Not turning 45. Could have just skipped it. Okay, advance the blade, get it parallel to the sole. Then I'm going to retract it. Now I'm going to be working with, I got a piece of nice figured maple. So I'm going to close the throat down. And don't worry, I'm going to explain to you what that's all about too. But I'm just, to speed this up, I'm just going to do it real quick. Nice thing about this style of plane, it's a process that can be done very easily. Lock it in place. Okay, blade's fully retracted. Little S shape of wax. It reduces the friction so that your effort is spent pushing the blade through the wood instead of pushing the plane over the wood. Doesn't matter which side. So the blade's fully retracted. I'm going to start planing. And this is a real advantage to this style of plane, because while on the fly, I can start advancing the blade. And what I'm going to do is just wait to see if the shaving comes out more on one side than the other. In other words, is the blade actually parallel to the sole? Now what I'm attempting to do here first is get rid of knife marks and clean this surface up. Now let's see if we can't get some real thin ones. I'm looking around for a lovely assistant. Don't see one. So we'll just, you hold that for me. This is the best marketing tool I ever bought. It's a Mitutoyo. It's digital. 5 zeros past the decimal point. I'm running out of battery. I'm going to zero it in. Okay, now what we'll do, and it's got a ratchet on here too, so you're not squeezing the shaving excessively. Can you stretch it for me a little bit just so we're not getting a... Any guesses? I just had these calibrated. That's going to come in at about 0.00075. Oh, was I wrong? It's 0.0005. Dang it. So, half a thou.